Wow.
What do you think?
That was great.
That was awesome.
Oh, you keep going to the timer.
There we go.
I like the timer. Where'd you get that one?
We are live, and Kev, thanks for some of those pictures that you sent me, and Rob and Brad.
Yes, sir.
All right. We are live, and Kev, thanks for some of those pictures that you sent me. Is it me that's?
No, I think it's you have Kevin watching the side chat, so he's got to mute the YouTube.
It was actually me too.
I'm muted.
We always listen, no matter what we do with our live stream, the opening is always
comedic.
It's always funny.
But we get there. We get there. So, welcome everyone. This is Live with the Canadian Guys. We're streaming tonight. We've got two special guests with us. As you see, Wayne, which is Jarvis Biker. Wayne is on a bikecation. Right, so not quite sure where he is, but he's somewhere in Ontario on his bike, so he's happy. So in Wayne's place, introducing Rob from Dead Knot. He's going to be taking Wayne's place, right? And he's what are you drinking tonight, Rob?
Whiskey.
I don't know if I've ever seen Wayne drink whiskey, but we'll go there.
Whiskey a few times.
Maybe okay. And tonight's special guest is Bradley Young from West Coast Throttle, right? He's been gracious enough to come on the show with us tonight, and he is calling from Arizona.
Yes, sir. Honored to be here.
Great. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll double check with you at the end of the show, and hopefully you have the same excitement that you have going into the show, right? You know, or if we get dead air, like low battery, or just a second, I got to take this call. We'll know that we've done something wrong, but we're not going to. All right. So, just to give everybody a quick how-to. So we have questions for the guest, which is Brad, and we have guests for the panel, which is all four of us. All right. We'll always start off with Brad. You get the first kick at the can, right? Okay. Then we'll go to Kev, or then we'll go to Rob. Sorry, Kev, I'm going to bump you down.
That's okay.
We go to Rob because Rob is also new to the show. He's been on the show before, but this is his first time on the panel. Yeah. Then we'll go to Kev, and then I'll round out the questions. Okay. So the first one is, just so everybody gets to know us, if this is their first time here, let's just do a quick round the panel, right? And just your name, the channel that you have, and what type of motorcycle you ride. So Brad, we're going to start with you.
Well, my name is Bradley Young. I run what's called West Coast Throttle. So we started in January. Currently, I am riding a 2008 FXD because my 2019 Sport Glide got into an accident. So I'm hoping to be back on a Sport Glide again, but we'll see.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
So I'm Rob, also Dead Knot. I loaded my first YouTube video about 8 years ago and been dabbling in it ever since. I'm on Canada's East Coast in Halifax now. I recently retired from the military, hence the civilian scruff. And
hey, thanks for the service.
I ride a 2014 Victory that I bought the day the doctor told me I had cancer, and I just look forward to riding, and I'm happy to be here trying to do a good job in place of Wayne.
Oh, you'll do fine.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, good. Kev?
Hi, I'm Superman Kev, or Mr. McStash, because I'm wearing his merch today. I did a swap with Mr. McStash. We swapped some merch. So he's got my my T-shirt, and I've got his. I ride a 2012 Harley Electric Glide Classic, and it's a I call it the potato because it's white. And yeah, we've been doing this for a little while. I've been on YouTube for 11 years, and I've been seriously doing YouTube for about a couple of years.
Got to define serious there, though. There's nothing that much serious about your videos.
Well, no, there's nothing serious about my videos, but I do put out videos every week.
Nice.
Yeah, way to go. Yeah, thanks, Kev.
Yeah.
And I'm Dave. I'm hosting tonight's live stream, and my channel is HarleysDinersRides. And same as most of us here, we do videos around motorcycle riding, reviews, and other things related to motorcycles. But I also, we have a 38-foot toy hauler, right? Wolfpack toy hauler, which my lovely wife Lorelai and I load the bikes in the back, and we'll take off for destinations all over. Except for the last little bit, the trailer hasn't been rolling too much right now because of the pandemic. But we're looking forward to getting it out of the driveway and heading somewhere soon. So
I heard they said today that the parks are open.
Yeah,
So
which is really good. Yeah, Brad, we're a little bit behind the U.S. in the sense of opening up or easing the restrictions, but we're getting there, right? So, and that's the main thing. So, okay, so guess what, Brad? You are right. We're up.
Nice. I'm ready.
Okay, so Brad, what was your motivation in starting West Coast Throttle? And where do you think you'll take it?
Oh, where I want to take it is going to be as far as I can. But the reason that I started West Coast Throttle was I was on these Facebook groups, the different social media platforms. And of course, I was writing a lot, so I wasn't able to see a lot of these things. But what I would see sometimes is some of the beginner bikers would get some really bad advice or buy some really dangerous gear. And so what would happen is I would watch, and eventually the veteran bikers would get in there and correct them, but sometimes it was too little too late. So when I started West Coast Throttle, I said, okay, I may not be the expert, but I do have a lot of experience. I've been riding over 30 years. Maybe I could give something back to the people who have been giving me, because I had some really good mentors, some, we call them graybeards, the old men that have been riding forever, taught me a lot of good things. And I was like, I could pass these things along to them. And I was really nervous when I started because, I'm pretty shy unless I know somebody. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to get me fun. I'm too old for this. I didn't even know how to do a YouTube. I saw the button, but that was about all I knew how to do. So my motivation was to actually help the beginner bikers. Because when I was new, questions that were embarrassing to ask, simple things like, how do I do an oil change? How does the buckle on the helmet work? All these little things that the new bikers, they have questions. And a lot of us have been riding for a while. We take for granted that we know these things. And I was like, what if I were to start a channel and just help these beginner bikers, tell them at least what I know. So I moved it along to the Facebook group later on, because it went from being a YouTube channel, and I wanted it to be a really good one because I would love to do it full time, right? And once I started getting into it, I loved it. I started getting a lot of help. It was the opposite of what I thought. I wasn't getting ridiculed by anyone. I was actually getting a lot of support, and a lot of people came and they taught me how to do the camera stuff. They taught me how to do the editing. I actually took a little course on it and just fell in love with it and kept doing it. And so now we moved into like repair videos, how to repair things, how to, what do you look for in a helmet? What do the helmet ratings even mean? All these little basic questions that, they don't get asked a lot of times because people are embarrassed. So I figured I'd throw them out there ahead of time, and it would done pretty well. So it's been a very good experience. I love it so far. And I got to meet you guys, see? So, I'm meeting so many new cool people. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'd have to say that's been the big thing for me too, is all of the meeting all these other folks. I've had a lot of fun doing that, and I make fun of a lot of other moto vloggers. That's why they were giving me a hard time before.
What I really like is the people that I've linked up with. The Facebook group is a whole other story. I get into that if you guys want to hear about it and how that came to be. So aside from the YouTube channel, I was on Facebook, and I decided to start a West Coast Throttle Facebook group. And the reason this one happened is because I posted a video in one of the riding groups and I got barked at. So, you know, they're like, hey, you can't be posting your vlogs. Don't be self-promoting. They basically got yelled at. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, what if I could get all of the vloggers in one spot? So where a new writer could come in and they can see all of our vlogs, all of us can post freely. They could have their choice of all these YouTube channels and all these, because we have different, you know, we have different backgrounds, right? I might be on the cruisers, you know, somebody else may be on the sport bike, somebody else might be an adventure rider, somebody else might be long distance. So then I started stalking these folks, those veteran riders I talked about that originally motivated me to start the channel. They were helping the new, or writing their.
We lost sound. That's what happens.
Oh,
Is it 104 degrees? His phone's probably overheating.
Yeah, it is. It's 104
He's
degrees.
outside,
I
too.
wanted to mention that. He's really
Yeah.
warm there in Arizona.
Yeah, but I think he hit on a couple really key points that he was putting up that information of questions people are asking. And YouTube being connected to Google, it is the second largest search engine, basically, because you type in the right question, if you have that video title as that question, that's going to come up in the search results because Google would love to promote YouTube on a Google search. So that kind of information is just gold for bringing people into various things. And, you know, and he, you know, the motovlogging community overall is full of guys who want success for each other. And that's why we're here, because together we're stronger than we are apart.
and that's a good point, Rob. I mean, I've found, and you guys can, you know, speak on it too, how supportive the biking community is. You know, just to start off, even away from YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, you know, pull into any gas station if there's a couple of bikers there. You know, you strike up a conversation, they're more than happy to share their knowledge and talk with you about that, right? So, and I think we have.
Am I back? Okay, I think I'm back.
You are back. You are back.
Okay, I am so sorry. Yeah, my wife called, even though I told her I was doing this, but I put a do not disturb. Hopefully it's going to work now. Okay, we're back. I am so sorry, guys.
What's really funny is we mentioned the phone call part earlier being your escape clause, and that happened already.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, now we lost Kevin. All
Yeah,
right, guys, what are you doing here? You know. Okay. So while you were taking a break there, Brad, we Rob and I were started to talk about the support that bikers in general have. You know, even away from YouTube, away from Facebook, being able to, you know, communicate and chat with anybody that you meet, like in gas stations or on a ride or things like that.
I met some of my best friends
Can you hear me?
passing, you know, you just meet them at a gas station. All of a sudden, they're your best friends.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So you've got your YouTube channel. You've got a Facebook page, right?
Yes, Facebook group, and that group
And
is.
then
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was saying, so that group that took a lot of time. It was a pretty. The idea being that I could take all bikers, all these veteran bikers from all the different backgrounds of motorcycles, so sport bikes, adventure bikes, long distance riders, put them all in one place. So that way, when the beginner asked a question, they would get all these different answers from different walks of the motorcycle world. And then they would have the videos from the vloggers to go with those answers that could be posted right away, because vloggers win things.
What is the name of your Facebook page, by the way?
It's the West Coast Throttle Facebook group.
Okay.
So same thing, it's just the Facebook group.
Yeah, and I'll put those links in the bottom. You know, once it's posted up into YouTube, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or all comes up on a Google search too.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run a Facebook page too. I have motorcycle videos, and it's the same idea.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got to join each other's groups then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, Kev, I thought you might find, you know, Brad's interest, because both of you, I've subscribed to both of your Facebook groups, and as a YouTuber, I also load my videos and advertise them on both of your sites. Yeah. So, it even gives me as a content creator places to feature my videos and that, right? Rob, where do you post your videos?
There's a couple local pages, and then I got a few friends that are really good at sharing, and but other than that, not a lot of places yet. I'm there are a few local groups where if I do too many promotions, they'll they get on your case a bit. But for the most part, I'm just slow and steady.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a couple Nova Scotia and Maritime groups. Like I said, looking for the different East Coast guys. I posted in a Maritime group itself. As well, I also try to promote all the other local channels. That's why I was able to get a bunch of them to go out go-kart racing over the winter.
Oh, nice.
Right. Cool. All right. Good.
Well, we have winter up here, Brad. It's basically bad riding time.
Yeah, we don't really have that. It just gets a little colder.
Yeah, we trade our bikes in for snowmobiles, in the winter time, right? Either that or else we stay inside. Okay, so the next, I wanted to touch on. You have a website, but it's not live yet. So,
Correct.
What's behind the curtains? What's happening with this?
So I originally had a gear website where I could provide some safe gear and some, at a good price. And COVID completely wiped everybody out, and there was no distributors. So what I did when I started the channel, when I started doing the YouTube, I started reaching out to all the companies that I like to work with. So DK Customs, Thrash and Supply, Moon's Motorcycle Culture, all these and then also some other ones. So that way, what I'm trying to build now is a beginner site, basically a beginner to advanced site for buying gear. So all of your gear and parts in one place from all these different cool places that I found over the years. So if you come as a beginner, you'll have a beginner section like, hey, this is probably what you should start with. And those would be, of course, on the lower end, they'd still be very safe and they'd be tested and so forth. And then you also have a face to the name so that because a lot of times what I would see too on the internet, these guys would post things where they would buy a set of gloves that were supposedly made for motorcycles, right? No, totally were not. And then they go to get their money back. And of course, the internet, poof, these people are gone. So I'm trying to establish something like even more solid than that. I have plans out to even go to a brick and mortar one day to actually have a West Coast Throttle store. But the idea behind it being that you could go in here, whether or not you're a beginner or you're a, intermediate, and then intermediate people will know, okay, hey, I want Thrash and Supply. I want these kind of gloves. These are the direct links. So I don't have to go bouncing around to all these different websites. I can go to one, West Coast Throttle. So that's kind of the platform that I'm trying to build right now. I'm hoping to be live within a month with it. And also I want it to be a spot where we have kind of like a community as well, where you could host rides, events, things that are going on. You could go to that same page and just have another tab that you can go to, and you can see all the events going on in your area, or whoever's a part of that group. So say you guys have something going in Canada, well, you could post it on there, and then you could direct people there. So it kind of hosts your event to help you promote it. It takes away a step that bikers don't have to pay a bunch of money to promote their run. They can just guide everybody right there. So that is what I'm trying to build now. I do have plans for I have some pretty big dreams going here to West Coast Throttle where I want it to go.
Right.
I don't know if you guys want me to talk about those things, or we're just talking about the site right now. You guys want to hear the full plan?
You're the guest.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, the full plan.
This is your chance to tell us your dreams so we can tell the world.
Oh, yeah. So eventually what I want to do, and my friend Duke actually planted this in my mind, I want to create a West Coast Throttle service for motorcycles where you can go in and get an oil change or transmission, just fluids, right? Just your basic maintenance, and then have your bike detailed at the same time. So not necessarily a shop, but kind of like an oil change place, but for bikes, and then you get a detail out of it. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. I also have ideas for a brick and mortar store to sell gear out of. And then ultimately, if the big dream comes true, is have a bar/hotel directly made geared towards motorcycles. So a motorcycle parking lot, have a little charging station in there with a little, a pigtail. You can hook up your bike so in case you're going to be there for a long time, so you can charge it. And then have a little hotel on the side in case you drink a little too much and keep you safe and you can just crash for the night, but have it be very nice, but all geared towards motorcycles. And because you got travelers, and the dream goes even bigger to have it to be a chain where it's all over the place so that you always know there's going to be a West Coast Throttle you can crash at and you're going to be welcome if you show up at 3 a.m. on your ride because, you got lost in the middle of the mountains. Because none of us ever do that, right? We never get lost and just keep going until we find
We're exploring. We're not lost, exploring.
I've never been lost.
Exactly.
never
Me
lost.
neither. It's just I just haven't been there before, and now I have. So, but that's kind of the big dream. But right now, I'm happy just learning how to do good videos and meeting good people and just creating a good site. And I'm trying to build it from the ground up, trying to do it right.
Yeah. So are we going to see a West Coast Throttle campground? Because listen, there's a lot of us in the sidebar. We've got Moto Travels, which he is, right now I think he's camping, right, or soon to be camping, or right. But Craig, he's an avid camper, loading up the bikes and headed out on the road and camping and I am to a certain extent, but I call it glamping, right, because of the trailer.
But, you want to be comfortable.
But
that is a good idea. Thank you for that. So we're going to add that to the dream list as well.
There and listen, as they said, if you never dream, nothing will ever come true, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at what's happened with the channel. I thought about it, I dreamed about it, and if I would have really given into the the fears and all these things, it's not worth the time because it does take. You guys all do this. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and then but if you don't take that first step, nothing happens.
Right.
So
and there's our friend Craig right there, leaving on a 10-day moto camping trip tomorrow morning.
Right? Oh, yeah. Nice.
Right.
A campground network sounds like that's actually very doable. Oh, yeah. So anyway, let me put that feather in there in the hat. There.
Right. And look at this now.
It's got some camping spots, right? You don't have to have all camping, but if there's a few camping spots out back where there's a nice fire pit where everyone can go.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That totally. Yeah. I see. This is why I love networking with other bikers and talking and these ideas. A lot of the ideas don't even come from me. A lot of them come from somebody talking and not like, hey, Michael.
Yeah, and Colin from Bronco Ride, he's now got a Pan America. Oh, and he's looking for a place to go ride and camp. So there you go.
He's going to go there once you build it.
I just looked at the Pan America today. That's a beautiful bike. I can't wait to hear see some of the videos on it.
There's a lot of people we know buying them, right, in the YouTube world. So yeah, we're going to see an influx of Pan America videos over the next year.
Well, Harley's finally made a bike that isn't out of the market for that genre. It's right in there. So that's a good thing.
Okay, so keeping with our topics, let's see what's number 3. So this is for the panel. Again, the panel, right? We start with Rob. We start with Brad. I'm terrible. I know faces, right?
That's okay.
I'll always get your face right, but I might give you a new name. So we'll start with Brad.
I kicked the can first, so I got it.
And then Rob, then Kevin, right? So where do you get your ideas for your weekly live stream? I know you put one out on Fridays. Kevin has done some, and Rob, I'm not sure about you, but let's go ahead. Let's go around the table.
Well, I get mine mainly from the group. If I'm seeing a question from a beginner or in different groups, if I see the same question popping up, that's usually what I'll focus on for the week. So the videos, I have about a stack of ideas and scripts for videos I'm working on. But if I see something and I see it's kind of a trend, that's what I focus on for that live stream. So I did not do one this week. I will be doing it this Friday. Last Friday I did not, but that's where I find my material. I just basically find the questions that are popping up, and that seems to be what's on the new writers' minds.
Right. And you do your live stream on Facebook, is it?
Yes, but I got put in Facebook jail. So I will be doing them again on Facebook, but I've been using YouTube for the last 2 live streams.
Okay. Very good.
It works really well, we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob, what about you? Have you?
So I don't stream a lot, but where I'm getting a lot of my inspiration right now is using my retirement education funding. I'm actually going to school for digital marketing and stuff like that. So as I'm learning, because that's what I figure is I've always been a volunteer. So what I want to start doing, and I've actually got almost 6 videos recorded now. It's just me and editing aren't getting along. Different story. But I've been out recording a bunch of segments that I've basically been percolating in my brain that how some of this education and things that I'm making think about on channel building, brand building, and just little things I'm noticing on YouTube that I want to feel that I can take what I'm learning and just spread it out there. So I'm going to be putting out a lot of marketing, that kind of stuff. And over the next probably 5-6 years, as I just work through all my, the equivalent of the US GI Bill, I have a big pot of money that I can use for the next 10 years to make myself smarter. Because I can't do much about making myself better looking, but it'll help make me smarter, right?
Is that the attempt with the beard?
I almost didn't recognize him. He looked a lot younger with the beard on.
When I was at the wing taking some of those pictures, because you made me realize, like, that picture you showed at the opening with the F-18 was actually Cold Lake, Alberta. I was there visiting friends. And so I got a picture with it. It was on my son's birthday. He was 21. So I did the total dork dad thing and took a picture in front of that F-18 that's on the pedestal facing up and posted on his Facebook page and said, "Hope your birthday really takes off." And
I love it.
But yesterday, when I was actually, or whatever day I sent you those pictures, so 2 days ago, I was in front of the helicopter that I used to fly in. A guy drove by, stopped, backed up because he was like, I wasn't sure if that was you. It was a guy I've known for a bunch of years. So that was the funny part is, I've been very careful on my personal Facebook to not put many pictures out of this. I'm going to see how long I can get it before I can really then shock my parents, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Well, because 31 years in the military, I joined when I was 18. This is the longest I've ever had. So that's, like I said, I'm seeing how long the wife will let it go. And we're at 2 months and counting now. So
very good. So, Brad, just a quick question here. Craig from Shush Motor Travels wants to know when your live stream is.
They are every Friday at 5 p.m.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Kev?
Well, the live stream for me, like the weekly live stream, I come up with the ideas basically by who I have for the guest. And I was trying to find guests that do things similar to what I do, or YouTubers that I find really interesting. And we've got a few of them in the side. Shushmoto, he puts out great content. And so I was, we asked him on because his channel is small, but his content is fabulous. The other when I had Cake and Rich on, that's help me, Dave.
For Boots and Jeans.
Boots and Jeans Riders.
Yeah.
I used to be a motorcycle instructor years ago, and Rich has done a little bit of that as well. And so he and his wife do a lot of training videos, and I've done some training videos too. And I wanted to get him on because I've challenged him to things in some of my videos previously, and it's all in good fun. But we do sort of the same sort of things. I try to get like the ideas for who I'm going to have on when it's my turn to do the live stream, is to get someone that I'm going to find interesting. And you know what? We have done a great job. Both Dave and Wayne have had fabulous guests, you guys included, for every week, like we've managed to get a really good cross section of the moto community, and it's not always guys riding Harleys. I mean, sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. Like we've had Goldwing guys, and we've had people riding Indians and other things. So that's sort of how it goes. Depends on who we're having. That's how I decide. What. Yeah.
And then your live stream, this whole thing at the Canadian guys started off with Kevin just going live one day and saying, "Does anybody want to talk to me?" And here's the link. Come on in, right? And Wayne and I picked up the invitation, and look at us, we're still going strong.
And you know what? It was so much fun. Like the first time we ended up doing it, we had good chemistry between the three of us, and we always have fun doing it. And it's been really good because we've started a pretty good friendship. We've gone riding. It's we talk quite often, and it's really good. And I really am thankful for these guys because it's that whole thing you were talking about earlier about the riding community. We help each other with how to do things, and Wayne's really good with the cameras and the gear part. Dave does a really good job hosting the show, and I'm just goofy.
Kevin fills in all of the other brackets.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good.
Well, every team needs that color commentator, right? A little bit of goofball, or the other guy, you got the serious guy giving stats. It's always a team. It's never one man show. Like with hockey, it's always Ron McLean and Don Cherry. There's always a team that fits together. One guy has to be the goofball. That's just required.
That's right.
Thanks, Kevin.
Put it this way. I mean, everybody knows Kevin, right? And when we talk about his ice cream trips and stuff like that. Yeah. So, Kevin is more of the celebrity out of the three of us. Where's he going now? He just left us.
I'm just shameless promotion.
Oh, look out. Here we go.
shameless promotion. Here we go.
There you go, Brad. You need to be able to say, "I've been for ice cream" before you'll be allowed into Kevin's group.
That's right. Those are my shirts.
Yeah,
with my Superman Kev logo on the arm.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have grabbed my patches and shown those out.
Oh, yeah. I seen that. I've seen you've got patches for sale now.
Yes. That was pretty cool because I was like, they came out really nice. So first 10 went to Hoagie's hero. Hoagie Carmichael runs a really big organization. Yep.
That's funny. Right through it with the green screen. All right.
So we're sticker hounds. So if you have stickers of your channel,
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well we're gonna have to.
Yep, you have to give me your address. Look, I carry them in my pocket so that anybody who asks, they get.
There we go.
Throttle sticker.
I've got a wall to put it on. All right. So just to finish off, I'll just say, a couple of themes that I always try and do is we live in a beautiful, well, both of us, Brad, you and us, both of us live in countries, two beautiful countries, Canada and the US, right? And what I try and do is in identifying the guests is anything that's going to help towards motorcycling, the community, and also anything that helps promote the beauty in both of our countries, to have people like that on, right? So, as we go through, I've had some really good luck. Harley Dave sent me a name. He says, check out this guy. He's from Newfoundland. And so, we're going to go and see what that person's like and maybe, get that person on the show to tell us all about, Newfoundland and the beautiful country out there. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to jump in here just for 1 second. We've got
Jarvis Biker's here.
Yes, and he's saying, "Who's sitting in my chair?"
Does he not know if he's not going to stick around, if he's going to dump us? We're gonna find somebody, right?
We got to test drive the alternates, right? You know, like maybe this time, and you know, then it's like, okay, that guy was an idiot. Who are we going to bring in next time, right?
I just want to say it's such a pleasure to not have a Goldwyn guy on the channel, and we.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, oh.
Poor Jarvis.
He's at Gananoque.
Is he in Gananoque?
Yeah, he's almost at Quebec border. He's way up there.
He rode right past me and he didn't stop in. What a bugger.
There you go.
All right. So Wayne, he's in our side trip. Wayne, ride safe, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Right?
Yes.
And don't forget, we've got our barbecue at the end of June.
Yep.
Right? No handing out my address, though, okay, guys? All right. Now, just on a bit of a serious note here, because, Brad, you had made a video on this, and this is the reason why you're riding your old bike, right?
Yeah.
Compared to the previous bike.
My Evel Knievel time on the freeway.
So you recently had a motorcycle accident. So tell us what happened.
Oh, geez. So this was a freakish thing. It's a 1 in a million thing that would happen. So I was on the freeway going about 55, 60, and I see a puff onto the right. And I'm like, what is that? And a light pole goes across all lanes of traffic right in front of me. And I was on the Sport Glide, and there was nowhere for me to go. It covered the emergency lanes and everything. So at the last second, instinctively, I did a jump up on the handlebar from my dirt bike days. And I took the Sport Glide and went whoo, about 5 feet in the air. And then I don't know how I managed to stay on the bike, but it came down and then fishtailed all over the place. It ended up damaging the front forks. The rim is entirely bent in on both the front and the back. It smashed the bottom. It bent the frame. So that was a nightmare, and dealing with insurance. And that's part of the reason why I'm visiting family and kind of not on the bike right now is because messed up the back a little bit. Bones don't come together as well in your 40s than they did in your 20s and 30s. So, that was pretty scary. It tells you, even if you're doing everything right, you got that one thing that can happen, and you have no control over it. Yeah.
How scary was that? Oh
yeah,
that
was pretty scary, man. I usually have a pretty good fortitude, but man, that one was a pucker factor of 10 on that one.
Yeah,
man, you go flying up there, man. I'm not kidding. It was Evel Knievel on the freeway. It hit and it jumped. It actually did one light and sent me into the air flying. And so Harleys are not made for jumping.
Did cars hit the pole?
What's that? Yeah, the car hit the pole. Yeah, and the car was trashed too, and it knocked the whole pole over. So
did other cars hit the pole?
Yes, so other cars started hitting the pole right after I jumped it. So a bunch of cars were hitting it. Luckily, California Highway Patrol and the Alameda County Sheriff were there like that, really fast. I still was able, and I was kind of disoriented, but I still was able to call 911 and tell them what happened. But it was I was all disoriented. First, I called my wife, and I don't even know why I called her first, but I was like, I didn't even know what to say. Now you understand why when you go to court and stuff like that for these traffic accidents, why the witnesses are kind of like, I don't remember. I get it for sure because you really don't know what happened, but it pieced together later. It's weird how the mind works. Like later on, it started to come back, like what exactly happened? Because my mechanic looked at the bike and said, I don't know how you're still alive. And I don't know how you stayed on this bike. But it was pretty gnarly.
Well, it's good to see that you're mending and that you weren't seriously hurt, right?
Yeah. And God likes me. I'm in good with Jesus or something.
Yeah, and for your channel, for you sharing this with your audience, so that they, get to have your experience, and also, I think you probably had full gear on too, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and thank God. Even though I didn't go down, had I gone down, I was wearing the full gear, and I'm a big promoter, full face helmet all the time. I had the leather jacket and my vest on top of it, plus I had the Kevlar lined jeans and boots. So if I were to go down, I would have slid out just fine. I would have been bumped up a little bit, but I would probably walked away versus being carted away in the ambulance. So gear is by far the most important thing that you could have.
Right.
Well, actually, I take that back. Training is actually the number one thing you can have, and then comes the gear.
I was just gonna say, all your motorbike or your like dirt bike experience helped you there.
Yes. Had I not been trained, and I took a 80-hour dual purpose course, so 2-week course on dual purpose, which was both street and off road, and I think that's what saved my life on that one. If I hadn't done that and I hadn't been on dirt bikes when I was younger, I would have gone over those handlebars. That bike would have hit, and I would have just gone straight to the handlebars. And CHP off. It was funny because 2 other CHP officers came up afterwards just to see. They're like, "How did you survive this?" they were like amazed. So it was a 1 in a million shot that light pole would land in front of me, and it was a 1 in a million shot that I would actually jump it the way it happened.
So how high did you have to kind of lift the bike over? Like how high was it?
I don't remember, but I know hitting the pole, and when I came to rest, and the reason I know this is because there's a split in the lane that comes here, and you can see the paint. The pole fell back here, and when I came to land, it was all the way at that split. So that's a good 10, 15 feet. I don't know how far airborne I got, but it must have been at least 5 or 10 feet. And it's funny because California, I don't know if you guys deal with this in Canada at all, but Oakland area, a lot of high crime. So everybody's at the scene, and some guy goes, "Oh yeah, man, you caught like 5 feet of air." Oh, and I'm like, "Oh great, stick around for CHP because we need to." So once the cops showed up, guess how many witnesses there were?
None.
All of them took off. So it's kind of crazy the way that worked. But that was quite an experience. Still getting over that. I have never been in a motorcycle accident before, so now I'm dealing with the attorneys and the insurance companies. And when I'm done with it, then I'm going to probably do a video on that because that's something that I had never experienced. And I looked on YouTube and I didn't see anything on that. So I think I'm going to document that and exactly what happened and, how things worked. Because I didn't know a lot of different things and how I think you should definitely get an attorney right away because they help you through this quite a bit.
Wow. Well, now explain how you ended up with your old bike.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this should be a whole other live altogether because this story can go on how I even got it in the first place, but we'll just go on how I got it back. So I have a dream in 2019, right? So I'm sorry, in December 2020. So I sold my bike. I traded it in, gave me $4,000 for it in October of 2019. So December 2020, I have a dream about this bike. And I'm like, I wonder if that bike is still up for auction. Because I know older bikes like that, they put out for auction for parts and whatever. So I actually texted the salesman because he's a friend of mine now. I said, "Hey, what's up with my old bike? Can I get that thing? Are they still selling it? What's the story with it?" He goes, "Oh man, I can't believe you just texted me." He says that bike is still sitting there because the VIN number does not match the motor. And I said, "Well, of course not. I told you I put a new motor in it. I told you guys when I traded it in, I got a new motor." And then they're like, "Yeah, but the mechanic is not signing off on the paperwork." I'm like, "No, he's not going to sign that paperwork. I saw him sign the paperwork and I saw him send it. So of course he's not going to sign another one because he's going to think you're being shady." So long story short, they're going back and forth. And they said, "Okay, tell you what, why don't you buy the bike back for $3,500? And I'm like, "Okay. Really? You really want me to?" I mean, because that bike is worth on just the motor itself is worth $5,000. So for me to buy it back at $3,500 was like, okay. And I told him, I said, I have to, I don't have $3,500 just sitting around. I have to cash out part of my retirement, and it's going to take a while. So eventually I was able to get it. But before I did that, and this is where they messed up, and I almost walked away from this, is they called me basically kind of like a threat saying that because the VIN number didn't match, that this was a shady deal, that it might have been stolen and all. I was like, they tried to use a scare tactic on me. And I'm like, oh, I'm the wrong guy to do that with. So anyway, long story short, I was a little butthurt for a minute, but we worked it out and I wound up with my bike back. And it's it's my baby, man. That bike, you should hear the history on how I got it and how it got to where it was. When I traded it in, I was emotional because that bike has been to Laughlin, Nevada. It's been to Washington, Oregon, Arizona. It's been all over the place with me. And I've done all the work myself. So for me to get that bike back was kind of like it's such a good feeling. So I don't know if I'm getting the Sport Glide back or if they're totally not out. But yeah, I love that FXD, and its name is Castiel, named after an angel. So
There you go. Good
it
stuff.
was meant to be. The thing that never sold, it never went to auction. So I was like, okay, I guess it's meant to come back to me.
Yeah, good. Well, listen, before I go off, Kev, Rob, any questions or comments?
Actually, my one comment is when you see and hear people talking about actions, some people spend a lot of time, questioning if they could have done something to avoid it. Where I think this one was fortunate is this is one of those examples of it didn't matter what anyone else did. There, it's not, you couldn't have been in a different lane position or anything like that. That was coming in front of you. There was nothing you could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of those mental,
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Doubts.
Yeah.
It takes all the doubts out of what could you have done differently. Nothing.
Yeah.
That was coming down in front of you.
Yeah,
Right.
There was nothing I could do. And I've done that. It's funny you mentioned that because I did that in my mind for like the first days. Could I have done something differently? The only thing that I could have, if it had been, 3 seconds earlier, that would have came down on my head. Had I, so it actually worked out the way it was supposed to work out. And the funny thing is I normally don't travel at night. I just happened to have told my wife I'm going to come home that night. And I was coming home because I get off work pretty late. I get off at 10 p.m. So that night, and then now, guess what? No more night traveling.
Yeah. Okay, so this kind of leads into my next question because looking in the side chat here, we've got Deborah, who I guess is one of your followers on your channel, and she's a new rider and she listens to your station and is learning that way. This whole thing of what is fear of motorcycling for new riders, especially after we've just spent 10 minutes talking about an accident, right? So as a panel, let's just go around and say, how do we address this in the sense of a new rider? If a new rider approaches you and just says, I'm scared of riding, or I'm scared of this, right? We'll start off again with Brad. Go ahead.
Oh, it's funny this topic's coming up because this is actually going to be one of my videos coming out. My background is actually in psychology. That's what my degree is in. And I actually have a video on this particular topic that's up on my, on my channel now. Mm-hmm. So one thing, and there's two types of fears that I mentioned in my video. One is the initial fear of the new rider getting on the bike. And the second is the traumatic fear of after being in an accident or something happening that scares you. And now you're trying to get your, your gusto back to get back on the bike. The number one thing that I think people need to focus on is you're not afraid of the motorcycle itself. What you're afraid of is the danger. And a fear response is going to create a physiological response. So anytime we're scared of something, you're going to start to breathe heavier. You're going to have adrenaline come out. You're going to have, you're going to start sweating, maybe depending on what the extreme is. I mean, and it could be even when your body does that, even under good stress, if you're out on a date or something, so the one thing I say is to recognize that it's danger and that the motorcycle is what your mind is associating with the danger. And now take that away by slowly desensitizing yourself to that motorcycle. And the way that I explain to do it on my channel is first, just sit on the bike. You look at the bike just like you would a car. You sit on the bike, you eat on the bike, you watch YouTube channels on your bike. You're just basically making an everyday object. Before you even turn it on, before you do anything, that way you're just comfortable being on the machine. It's an inanimate object at this point. It's no longer a death machine, right? The process I explain after that is once you get comfortable that it's an inanimate object, that it's just a machine, it's just like anything else, it's just like a car, then you could fire it up and get used to the sound. Because you have to remember, for a new rider, this is a completely different experience. When we get into a car, you turn it on and it's a muffler, right? And it's very quiet. And you're surrounded by metal and you have a seatbelt, so you feel very secure. You're doing the complete opposite on a motorcycle, right? So you're on this machine with nothing to protect you. And now it's usually very loud and you hear the muffler. Unlike a car, you don't hear that. So what I say is just get on it and start it. Once it's an inanimate object, the second part is to start it. Get used to the noise. Don't go anywhere. Just play with the throttle a little bit. Just get used to the noise. And you do this for a while. These things, there's no time limits. It could be a month. It could be a week. It could be a day, depending on who the person is. And then the final step is the slow crawl. After you get the bike out and you're gotten used to the noise, now you just walk with the bike a little by little. So that way you have the sensation and your body is building this to a normalcy. That's how I explain how to get over the fear. And then if at any time you're going through a trauma or some way, like on my accident, I said I had to take the same advice. And I did the same steps that I tell people to do in my video. And sure enough, back on the bike, because I had my backup bike. I was on that, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not afraid of the bike, but you can't be bouncing around on your back right now. So that's how I explain how to get over that fear. Because I've seen different tricks that have been mentioned. I'll let you guys kind of go next, because I know I'm long-winded with this, because I could talk for 20 minutes just straight on this topic. But the biggest thing, I think you have to look at the deeper-rooted psychological. The paralysis is coming from the danger. So you got to remove that danger by making that bike safe in your mind.
Okay, good. Thanks, Brad. Rob?
So I'm actually going to put this back to my military experience, because a lot of things I do, I can relate, because I spent a tour as a flight instructor, but also I've got 20 years of flying. So a little bit of fear is a good thing. And it's the steps you want to do. So if something makes you a little bit scared, okay, what is it about that scares you? What can you learn about it to mitigate that? And it could be as simple as, because I see it all the time. Some young guy gets on a 600 crotch rocket and just wails on it, and then all of a sudden up it goes, because he didn't know to fear it. So a little bit of fear is a good thing, because then you learn to carefully explore those boundaries. And that's the way we would do it in flying. You have to do something that you haven't done in a long time. You got to do it for the first time, or you have to do it after they've just put all the bolts back together and you want to make sure they're nice and tight. You do things not with a bit of fear, but do things sort of very smart and careful. And for new riders, that's always my advice is, don't get out on the highway and see how fast it'll go in high gear on your first trip out. Start by going around your neighborhood. Get comfortable with the left, the right, that kind of stuff. But a little bit of fear is not a bad thing. That's my take on it.
Good.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely about that, having a little bit of fear. Both you guys make great points. As a motorcycle instructor, where I always take it back to is, and I've done videos about it. I did one where I was going through cones and doing some push steering. And in the video, I knock over cones. And in my description on the voiceover, when I'm talking about what I'm doing, I say, you'll notice I'm knocking over cones. And I'm knocking over cones because I'm practicing in a parking lot. And when you're practicing in a parking lot, that is the best place to knock over a cone. You want to knock over a cone when you're in a parking lot where it's nice and safe, where it's not a car, it's not a person, it's not a curb, it's not a guardrail. You are doing this in a really safe place. And I think that the one way to get over fear, if you're a new rider, is to practice and parking lot practice. And I'm a big believer in parking lot practice, and I do parking lot practice myself. Now this year I haven't done it as much as I have other years, but I do try to get out at least every couple of weeks. There's a parking lot not far from me that's, well, with this pandemic, things have been closed and the parking lot's been empty, and I've used it quite a bit. I have a number of exercises that I do, and actually there's two young guys who live not far from me that I have taken out to the parking lot and ran some drills with. And there's another guy who wants to, because he wants to take the class, but before he gets to the class, he wants to learn some skills a little bit because he's uncomfortable. His first bike is a Harley, brand new Harley. It's an 883 Sportster, but still, it's still a Harley Davidson.
Still a big bike.
It's still a big bike, and it's still a heavy bike, and it's still an expensive bike. Yes. And he would like to go to the parking lot and try doing this. And I said to him, that's the best way. to get over your fear of riding is to practice those skills, because the last place you want to be practicing these skills for the first time is when the car stops in front of you. You want to know what to do in the parking lot when you do it wrong, you hit the cone and you don't hit a car, you know? And that's my take on that. So
yeah.
Good question, Dave.
and listen, you know, all three of you have made excellent points, right? And Kev, knowing you and your background with the training and that, you know, people need to practice. What I can touch on is, you know, the old saying, ride your own ride.
Yeah.
When you first get on a motorcycle and start riding on the streets and that, there's so many things that can influence your ride. The people, other riders that you know or that you ride with, you know, watching TV, watching, you know, other people, if you're driving a car, watching how their bikes go. You know, the most important thing is ride within your own limits, because the minute you push yourself outside of your limits, then you put yourself in danger, because you don't know how to react. And, you know, when you talk about what Rob with his military background, it's time and time of repetition and practicing, as Kevin says, right? You practice to, you know, identify what your limit is, right? So the minute you go over that, whether it's speed, whether it's cornering, whether it's in a group ride or just out by yourself, you know, keeping that in mind, you know, this is my limits. I'm not going to go out of it. If somebody's trying to force me into go out of my, you know, my comfort zone, then pull over, right? Pull over, you know, have, you know, stop in for a coffee or have smoke or whatever, get off the bike, take a deep breath, get back on it and ride your ride again. You know, I belong to a club, and we have some pretty big rides where we'll have, you know, anywhere from 10 to 30 bikes all in there. And that's what we enforce. You know, we really impress upon people. Don't let the group force you to go outside of your comfort zone, right? And my wife is a really, she's been riding now for a number of years, right? I'm not, you know, I'm trying to think. I think it's been 10, 15 years now that Lori's been riding a bike, and she started off with a little 650, and now she's got a soft-tailed deluxe. And for her, she constantly is practicing and going through her mind the steps of riding her bike when we're out for rides and that. And you know what? She's one of the safest riders around, you know.
I have a question for the panel. How many of you challenge yourself with kind of, I know I do it, with kind of little challenges, like say you, like one of the things that I do, I'll stop to get my mail on my bike and I have to turn around on the pavement. There's room, there's a shoulder you could go on, but I always try to cut like from a dead stop, turn the bike right around and stay on the road or inside the road. How far can I get inside the road? How sharp can I turn? Or when I come up behind somebody, how close can I, or not close, but how where I want to stop, can I keep my feet on the bike to the last second and then put my foot down? Like, do you guys do that? I do that all the time.
Oh, I do as well. Like if I'm going down and I get a yellow light and it's, you know, because it goes from green, yellow, red. If I see a yellow light, there's not many people around me. I try to make a point of coming to my full stop is exactly on that front tire on that line. Same thing with if I'm in a parking lot and I got to turn around, you know, I'll do that exactly. Just try to make it really tight. My parking garage here, if there's been no cars in it a couple times, I'll figure eight the big concrete posts, you know, just to keep. You know.
I do everything. I'm the same way. I try to challenge myself for slow movement stuff. I even try to see how long I can keep the bike up before putting my foot down.
I do that all the time.
Same thing with the turns. Anytime I'm in a parking lot, I look for two stalls and I try and do a circle within it. So I do the same thing.
Yeah. I think it improves your skill. I mean, because you're always challenging yourself to do those things, right? Like it's just,
Well, knowing your stopping distance, to make sure you can know your brakes to hit the certain point without, coming hard on them and letting off. No, a steady brake application that brings you to a stop at that point to know what it does.
Yeah.
And using both brakes, that's a big thing.
Yes.
A lot of people are not using the back brake anymore because the front has the ABS. But if you use them both at the same time, it makes you smooth. It makes it really smooth coming to that stop, like Rob talking about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good. All right, so good comments, guys. Thank you. So the next thing, again, kind of building from this question here is, right, how do you prepare yourself and your bike for a long ride? So again, if we're thinking about a new rider, right, and we've got over the fear, or we're now comfortable in riding the bike, around the block, back and forth to work, to store, things like that. Now I'm going to go for a nice long ride, right? What do you guys think of when you're preparing for this? Brad?
Well, number one of me, I always say physical fitness is key for motorcycling. And when we say a long distance ride, that to me maybe, that might be several hundred miles. For the new biker, a long distance maybe 20 miles. So I think mentally, that's probably the first thing that they have to prepare for is, hey, I'm going for this ride. And to prepare the bike, of course, your safety checks. You check your oil, check the air. Make yourself confident before you even get on that bike, especially if that's your first ride for a new rider and you're going on a long one. I wouldn't worry about luggage. I wouldn't worry about any of that stuff. I would just worry about making sure that the bike is safe and that you're mentally ready to do it and that you physically can do it. Because, when I first started getting back into motorcycling after taking a break for a while, I wasn't in the best of shape. And I thought I was going to jump on and go for a 4-hour ride down to, and I made it about an hour and a half in before my back was just already like screaming at me. So I didn't get knowing those things. And mentally I could do it. Physically, I wasn't ready to do it. But making sure that bike is safe, I think that would be the top two things.
Right. Good. Rob?
Yeah, that's the biggest one is I call it like ass conditioning. Make sure you work out it because your butt needs training to sit in the seat that long. And when I lived in Alberta, it's 805 kilometers, so 500 miles from my door to my sister's door. And if I didn't work up to that to be able to leave my house in the morning and make her house by supper, if I didn't, do a few rides where I'm doing a tank of gas at a shot, I wouldn't have been able to do that because I'd have to stop so often. So you got to do those ass hardening rides to just keep riding longer and longer until you're ready to start pulling out those 8 hours of riding days.
Right.
Yeah. And my tip is last Friday, I went on a 500 kilometer ride. I don't know what that is in miles. But I was gone. I left at 10 o'clock in the morning and I didn't get home until 7 o'clock in the evening. So I was gone for a long time. I went for a very long ride. I stopped a lot of times, but how do I prepare myself for that? Well, the one thing that I do, if I know I'm going to be gone for a long time, and this is my tip, is get yourself a pair of bicycle riding shorts.
Oh yeah.
Because yes, it's got the padded butt. And I have a couple of pairs of those. And if I know I'm going to be riding for a long time, even though I'm riding a big, like cruising, touring bike, I still get a sore ass. And when you started talking about conditioning your ass, I'm thinking to myself, I always wear my bicycle pants. If I'm going on a long ride, I had the bicycle pants on. And I think the other things, if I know I'm going to go on a long ride, it's some of the same things that you guys have talked about. I check my tire pressure before I go, make sure I got gas, make sure I got money to buy gas, and bring water along if you're going on a long ride. I often will bring, like, depends. Last Friday it was really hot. I didn't worry about it, but I did make sure I had my rain gear, and I did make sure that I had I usually will pack my full face helmet, as well as I wear a shorty most of the time. Sorry, but I do. I wear a shorty, but I have a full face like helmet, and I keep it in the trunk. And if the weather gets nasty, or if I find I'm getting into a situation where I think I need it, I'll wear it, but I don't normally. But that's what I do to get ready.
Yeah.
But that's me.
You know what? It's very interesting. I had an instructor, and the wisest thing he ever said, and that got planted. The mind can take in what the ass can endure.
True enough.
Right, and that's true. We've all said it. If you don't have the right seat on your bike that's nice and comfortable,
you're not doing
don't try and do a long ride, because you're not going to enjoy it at the end.
Yeah.
And I tried, so I guess about 3 years ago, I tried to do the Iron Butt Challenge, which was from North Sydney in Nova Scotia.
This is 1,000 miles, right?
Right, 1,000 miles, yes.
Yeah. 1,000 miles one day.
Saddles were 1,000. Yeah.
And heading home, right? So, in that sense there, exactly, comfortable clothing. I had actually purchased a gel seat or gel pad to put on my seat, to help with that factor. Layered clothes, things like that, right? I didn't make it because the bike, I had just over 800 miles into the ride. I had some bike problems, and I was about 150 miles short of the goal. But my wife works at her head office is in Stellarton, Nova Scotia. So as soon as I can do that, I'm gonna make the trip again. But mentally and you have to be prepared. Good night's sleep, right? Good breakfast, don't load up on liquids, or you'll be looking for a washroom within the first half hour of your ride, type of thing. And your bike, if you're, getting your bike maintained and ready to go. Yeah. So anyway, there's some things there. Did we miss anything, guys, on that?
Yeah, there's one more thing I was going to mention is I'm actually going to put together a video series on some stretches and some exercises. One of our members at West Coast Throttle, he's a professional, body worker or whatever. So we're actually going to have videos on how to stretch for a long ride. So keep an eye on that. Because yoga type movements, yeah.
Well, we're
the ones like you put your leg up here and you push down, and that stretches out the hip flexor right here, and that is because you're sitting constantly in that same position, so that stretches out the hip flexor. So if you do that the day before, because I think all of us here go for really long rides, so I'm going to be putting together a series on that so might want to keep an eye out, because I started to do these, and man, I've been going for miles and miles and miles.
Yeah,
they say that 1,000 one is the easy one. Yes. I did it once, but I didn't document it. I did it once, and I will never do it again, because it was too far, too long, too hard. I was too tired.
Yeah.
No.
The amazing thing of my situation was, by the time the 24 hours was up, I was shy of the 8. I was just over, I think I was about 820 miles or something like that. Got the bike fixed, jumped back on it, and by the end of the day, I had done within the 36-hour limit. I had already put 1,500 miles on the bike, and I could have I could have, if I had a documented, got that patch for 1,500 miles in 36 hours, right? But I was still pissed off that I didn't get the 1,000. I forgot all about the other one.
No.
All right. Okay. So this brings us into our rapid fire. So rapid fire are 3 questions. You have no clue what they are.
No.
I'll just tell you that I've gone digging deep to come up with these questions. And I hope your knowledge of men's lingerie is
Oh,
good.
no.
Oh,
All right.
Is
God.
this going to be about Kevin's biking shorts again?
No, okay, I'm joking. All right, so here we go. Do you refer to your motorcycle as male or female? Brad?
Female.
First, female.
Female? Okay,
Same.
Rob? Kevin?
Same.
Well, she's a potato.
All right, and I would go female, but you know something? I'm probably more gender neutral, like say bike, right? All right, here's question number 2. Have you named your bike and or vehicles?
Of course.
Okay, and what's the name?
The silver one that's in the shop is Cuda for Barracuda Silver. The black one is Castiel, and the red one is Rhonda.
Okay. Rob?
And so, yes, mostly it started because the wife and kids were naming our vehicles. This bike is Betty from Black Betty.
Nice.
Black Betty? Okay, good.
And we call mine Harlot Potato.
Not Spud.
Because Harlot Potato, my wife says, "Oh, you're going out with Harlot again today?"
A friend of mine refers to him as his girl Friday. So, like,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. And I've never named a vehicle. I've never named my bike. And
What?
and I don't, right? I mean, the most I've ever said is, like it's a beast of a bike. But earlier,
It's a beautiful
Bob.
bike. It's a
No,
beautiful
that's Bob.
bike.
Beast of a bike.
yeah, beast of bike. I tried. I wrote down. I had 5 names: Cherry, Scarlet, Ruby, right? And my wife says, "Well, what are you doing?" And I says, "Well, I'm trying to figure out a name." And I says, "Like, what do you think of Cherry?" And first thing she said, "Well, who's Cherry?" Well, I'm thinking of naming the bike Cherry. She says, "That's a stupid name." Well, what about Scarlet? Well, why Scarlet? Why? How about Ruby? Well, what do you want to name it Ruby for? I said,
I'd call it
it's a great
Airhead.
bike. So at the end of the exercise, instead of getting support and suggestions, I just went back to calling it my bike.
I think you should call it the Airhead because of the air ride suspension.
The air ride suspension.
Call it Airhead.
And that is neutral, right?
There
It's
you
neither
go.
he
It's true.
nor her. All right. So anyway, I have not named any of. I call my truck a truck, right? So, but I can participate in this question. So, what is the best bike name you have heard of?
Oh, I'm drawing a blank. Well, I heard Warhog recently. I like that one.
What was it?
Warhog.
Warhog. Okay.
Warhog, HOG.
So right now, I'd have to go with my friend who calls his bike his Girl Friday.
Girl
Yeah,
Friday.
that's a good name.
Yeah. Kev.
I think I'm going to go with Adam Sandoval's the War Horse. I think that's a good name.
Warhorse.
He calls it the War Horse, his old one. Yeah.
Okay. And one of the people that's a friend of this show, Bodine 52, he called his silver ultra limited Big Mama.
Yeah.
Right. That one always sticks in my mind. So there we go. Well, we did well. See, I scared you a little bit on the intro to the questions, but
Those were good questions.
those were
Good, Dave.
so Brad so Brad, a little extra one for you.
Yes, sir.
You're going to jump on a motorcycle. What song comes into your head?
Born to be Wild. I'm just a regular classic.
There we go. All right.
That was
I was-
easy.
I was gonna throw out like something really weird out there, but just couldn't think of it in time.
Okay.
Beethoven's Fifth.
He did
Ride
that
of
the last
Valkyries.
time he was hosting.
Yeah. Favorite
He
movie.
stumped us.
My
If you had
favorite
to
movie?
think yeah.
The Last Samurai. I like that movie.
How about for motorcycles?
Oh, that's got to be Hell Ride.
Hell Ride. I haven't heard that one.
Oh yeah, that was that one's, you'll like that one.
Okay. And motorcycle related actor and actress.
Actor and actress. Well, I'll probably have to go with Sons of Anarchy. I forgot his name.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. And then for females, well, I really liked his mom. What's the mom's name? She was on.
Katie
I know
Seagal.
who you mean.
Katie Seagal, yeah. I like her. Peggy Bundy, yeah.
Peggy
And
Bundy.
She was on the cartoon. She was the one-eyed Cyclops girl on the cartoon.
Yeah.
Futurama. That's what it was. Yeah.
Futurama. Oh, very good. Oh, a great way of winding up the show. I got so much flack for those 3 questions.
He did.
Right?
We went on about it for quite a while.
Yeah. I think they
Wayne
were
will be
just
happy you
delayed.
didn't say wild hogs. That's what's going to matter. Wayne will be happy you didn't say
Wild
wild
Hogs.
hogs.
I love Wild Hogs.
That's a great movie.
It was. Well, listen, guys, thank you very much for all of you taking the time to join us here on the Canadian Guys live stream.
Yeah.
It's been really informative, a lot of fun.
This one's been fun. Yeah.
Brad, I'm really glad that you made some time to join us and that your phone lasted the whole time, right? And we had a little bit of a hiccup, but hey, we overcame it. So I'm just going to go around, and before we go, let's just do this, right? Is there anything else you'd like to add or give a shout out to?
I'd just like to thank you guys for having me on here. It's an honor, especially being my first live stream invite. So, and I'm glad it was this one. I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys very much.
Good.
And shout out to all the West Coast Throttle fans that are out there, because they're the ones who make this happen.
All right, good. Thanks. Rob?
An event I'd like to shout out coming in August, COVID depending, is Coast to Coast Ride in Canada called the Rolling Barrage, PTSD Awareness and Fundraising, www.therollingbarrage.com. And other than that, when COVID calms down, come visit the Cabot Trail.
Absolutely.
Good. Well spoken. Yeah.
I'd like to thank both you guys for coming on and helping us out tonight. You did a great job, and it was an awful lot of fun. Make sure to check out their channels, and they'll all be in the description. And thanks a lot, guys, for doing this and being a part of it. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. Yeah. And, again, for people in the side chat there, thank you very, very much. It's been great. We're going to look at your comments in that again. And thank you very much for joining us tonight. Brad, all the best with your endeavors. It sounds like you've got a lot of things that you want to put in place. So we wish you all the best, and we look forward to following you and watching. And at some point in time, we'd like to invite you back and get an update from you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It will be my honor.
Okay. So Brad's information will be in the comments below once this is posted over onto YouTube. And so please take the time and check him out. Also check out Rob from Dead Knot, who was gracious enough to come on and take Wayne's place. And he did a fantastic job. And I tell you, the beard looks good, right? You got my vote for keeping it, right?
My wife's
Kevin,
vote is the one that counts.
It's even getting white, so you can be that white-haired biker dude.
Graybeard.
Yeah.
You're becoming a graybeard.
there you go, right?
Chrome. It's chrome.
It's
It's not shiny though. So
not yet.
yeah, and as always, Kev, thanks very much for
problem.
being part of this. And please take the time to check out all of the channels here. All right. So for the Canadian Guys and our special guests, everybody take care tonight. And as always, ride safe, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Next week we are with Kevin. I think it's
my house.
We're in the house
Well,
with Kevin.
I don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll find out.
It will be fun. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you soon.